What's up, everybody? It's showtime at the Apollo. That's right. I'm Thomas J. Bellezza, and you are watching The Right Mindset. Today is indeed Saturday, and every Saturday and Sunday we do a live broadcast at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to allow you, the writers and authors and audiences of this lovely world, a chance to ask your questions about writing. And every Saturday, it could be anything from writing education to whatever, just chitting and chatting. Every Sunday is writing a book in real time where I break things down. Hey, Cindy, welcome. Hello from Calgary. 8 inches of snow. That's a lot of snow. All right. Look at this. This is snow. We can sell it. It's everywhere. Hello, fine people. What is up, L? How are you, L? Welcome to the show. All right. Before we even get started today, I am going to let the room fill up a little bit and do all the shenanigans. Obviously, if you want to skip this after it's been posted, because this is live right now, but you can skip it all you want. Again, I'm Thomas J. Bellezza. I'm a developmental editor and a writing teacher, and I use the live as an opportunity for people to have free access to my intellect, whether it be limited or vast. That's for you to decide, not me. I sing. Does that help? Anyway. But today, what we're going to try to do is we are going to go over the 5 mistakes writers make. Okay. When they in their career. Now, these mistakes, feel free to ask questions, okay? So as I'm going over them, I wrote a bunch of notes. I'm going to read through the notes as I do. Don't hesitate. Feel free to just ask the questions. It won't distract me. I wrote a script. I could just look back at the script. But at the end of every Saturday and Sunday episode, I give the floor to you anyway, so if you want to wait until the end, you're more than welcome to. But feel free to ask questions on what I'm talking about, or ask me questions on your writing. So let's do it. Also, an update: there's still no Diet Cherry Pepsi. All right. Before we get into that. So to go over today, we are going to discuss something for the writer who's looking to build a successful career as an author. If you're a hobbyist and you just like writing and it's just something you do, I still recommend listening to the video just as a chance to ask questions, because maybe you don't know the deeper depth of certain things we're going to talk about. But ultimately, when I say today is not an attack or a divergence to whatever your plans are as a career. These are just one other way to look at having a career as a writer. They are my insights, things that I've learned over the years, being within this industry 20 plus years of entertainment, from being a comic illustrator to a musician, actor, comedian, author, etc. Now, with that said, I am focused on authors that want to make a career out of writing and aren't just writing a book because they love writing it. But that doesn't mean you should leave the video. You can still ask questions about writing in general. All right. And I just want to say that this video is also not going to talk about improving your craft as writing, but rather the common mistakes authors make when trying to turn their passion into a career. So if you're feeling stuck or wondering why your hard work isn't paying off, I assure you these 5 points might just change your perspective and give you direction. What we got today? Cindy says, you drink as many calories with as regular because diet makes you more thirsty, so you drink more. True. I only drink the diet because I had cancer, and the doctor said if I'm going to drink soda, drink the diet. But I don't like taking medicine, but this helps with my pains. I have some pains instead of taking what did they call it? The hard drugs, that makes you, Anyway, so I just drink 2 sodas a day. I drink one with my breakfast, and then I drink one during this time, lunch. All right. 4th career. Hey, listen, sometimes we need more than one career. Hannah Hart, welcome. Hi, I was wondering, could I do more than one live for another story that I've been wanting to work on for a long time, even though I'm currently I was wondering, could I do more than one lie for another? Hannah, can you please clarify that? I don't. I would always recommend not lying about anything. Be true to yourself. I'm the word lie, I think, is confusing me for another story that I mean. If you're saying, can you work on more than one story at a time? Yes, you can always work on. You do whatever works for you. I have 4 more self-help books I'm editing. I got 5 epic fantasy books. I got the sci-fi book. I have my client books. You just have to subcompartmentalize and organize your schedules. Don't allow the projects to take over your life. And remember, you're allowed to stop when you want. All right. With that said, let's get into the first mistake: treating your career like a hobby instead of a business. Again, this is for people who are purposefully trying to make a career out of their author life. However, there's nothing wrong with having a hobby. All right. It's not uncommon, and no one would fault anyone for thinking that all they need to do is write a great book and the rest will somehow fall into place. However, if that was the case, you could literally write a book, place it in the closet, and wait until people start randomly knocking on your door asking you to buy your book. They'd be like, ding, 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 I heard you wrote a book and it's in the closet. I'd like to pay you for it. But that isn't how it works, right? Because here's the truth. If you want to make writing your career, you have to treat it like a business. This means developing a business plan of some level, setting goals at some state, managing your finances, because you're going to need to organize your overhead, and market your work, network, and learn the industry. Without these elements and more, even the most talented writers find themselves frustrated when their books don't reach an audience. Now, I'll tell you this much. A business plan gives you direction. All right. It's setting goals that allow you. And when you set goals, it allows you a way to see what and how often you are accomplishing things based on your business plan. And when you manage your finances, it keeps your overhead covered, learns how to invest money, and allowing your money to work for you instead of you working for it. Okay. Working on one and the ideas for another keep coming. So I read. Yeah, absolutely. Cindy, keep yeah. You gotta keep writing different things. Allow yourself to explore and always feel free and comfortable in writing more than one book. As long as you're okay with it. Don't if you're getting overwhelmed by it, step back a little bit. When it comes to marketing though, and treating your life like a business, marketing gets you seen. It allows people to remember your brand and allows audiences to emotionally connect with you. Remember, it's not about your product. It's about you and your brand. All right. When it comes to networking is going to change the game for you. Who you know is the magical phrase used in the business. It's who you know. That's how you get somewhere in this bit, right? It's who you know. But I'll say this much. The truth is, the more people you know and put time into, this will lead to doors opening and opportunities, especially when they're with people within the community of your industry, in this case, writing. I'm not saying make friends with all your fans unless you want to, or you meet the right people, of course. What I mean is to find people within your community. For authors, that's other writers, literary agents, managers, agents, bookstore owners, and of course, people who run foundations like the Red Hat Society, etc. What do you mean, Thomas? Well, the Red Hat Society is a group of retired elderly ladies who all wear red hats, and they do things together. When I owned a theater, I had made friends with people within the Red Hat Society, and I gave them deals if they came to the theater as a group. And not only did I make a couple dollars, but they also saved a lot of money, and they got to do something on the weekend. When it comes to books, believe it or not, they do have writing groups within the Red Hats. They all read books. They like certain kind of books. So you can reach out and build relationships with them. Hannah says, so it's for a Christian story called Truth Be Told by Matthew S. I just watched this video on the song where it has 6 lies and truths. It's where a character has a misbelief in this. Oh, okay. Well, I know what you're talking about now. All right. So if I go back to this, I was wondering, could I do more than one lie for another story? Then you can do as many lies as you want. A character can have as many lies as they want within themselves. They could believe things. That's called creating a position. So it's not necessarily a lie or truth. It's just a position. They either believe something, and whatever that belief is, they hold a certain um, uh, connection to it. So to change that belief, they have to be challenged, and either the truth of the lie is revealed completely, somewhat, or not at all, and they double down. I will also say this much: when it comes to treating yourself, your career like a hobby instead of a business, remember, knowing the industry you work in will give you a heads up on how it all works so you can make plans, set goals, and work towards things. And, you'll also know when and where someone might be trying to take advantage of you when they say, hey, this is how the industry works. You got to pay me money, and then it's like, oh, wait a minute. I did research on that. Hey, what's up, Strike Boogie? Hola, hey. Salve, as they say in Italiano. Salve. All right, next mistake. By the way, if anyone has any questions about treating your career like a hobby instead of a business and how you should be treating it like a business instead of a hobby, ask away. Let's keep it going. Mistake number 2, neglecting platform building and audience engagement, minus the engagement ring, of course. I need another sippity doo-dah day. Pepsi. All right. Is anyone from Pepsi watching? All right. Writing a book will never speak for itself. Even the quality of your book will never connect with someone for many reasons. One being the following: if they haven't read your book, how does it speak for itself? If you write a book and it's in your hands, right? I got a book. Hey, look, I got a book. Hey, it's Game of Thrones, right? And then I tell you, if you read this book, it's great. If you don't know me, why would you read the book? Why would you take my word for it? And obviously, if it wasn't Game of Thrones, because it has the brand connection to it. But if it's a new book and you go, this book is great. Or if you don't even say that and you go, well, the book is great. So I'll just put it in front of people and they'll buy it because it's great. The book speaks for itself. But the thing is, if they haven't read it, how does it speak for itself? And if they haven't read it, why would they buy it? And if they haven't bought it, how can they read it? It's the old catch-22, honestly. But the importance of building a platform leads to actual brand exposure, not by my book, but who you are, your thoughts, ideas, expertise, etc. But even if your writing will speak for itself because it's amazing, awesome, and unique, the modern landscape demands visibility and consistent engagement. Okay, times are changing. Look, I feel old, and I'm going to be 47 in a couple of days. But I will say this, and I get it. Many writers, including myself, are introverts, or we simply prefer writing over marketing. We're not thinking about our social media presence or newsletters as an essential tool for growth. That stuff takes away time from our passion to write, to create. Okay. What we got here, Cindy? I think cover artwork has a lot to do with someone purchasing or being drawn to a book. I love that you brought that up. If you see this book like this on a shelf of 100,000 books and you're walking through and you're not looking for this, all right, and it's not Game of Thrones, it's just it's called the bloop bloop of the bloop bloop. You're more likely going to pass that because you're not seeing the cover work, even though it's upside down. All right. So let's assume they see this. And somehow out of all the books they see this by, they decide this side piece is so amazing, awesome, and unique that they pull it out and now they look at the book cover. Now they have to look at the book cover and then they have to say to themselves, that book cover is awesome. Let me look at it. And then they have to read the first page or they read the back. And now they have to say, that's awesome enough. So then they read the first page. I'm already on 4 choices, right? So if there's not an emotional connection to a book, and I'm not talking about readers who go above and beyond to find new books. Like, I'm a musician. I like music. So back in the day, there were music stores, right? And, I would go to a music store and just start at A and just go down and see if something catches my eye. But the point is, your job nowadays is to build an emotional connection with an audience so that it doesn't matter how awesome the book cover is. Okay, they want to just buy the book in general. But there are a lot of emotional choices a person has to make to get to that point. But I love your question or your point. Oh my God, 42. Yeah, I know. Hey, I wish I was 42 again. I was having a discussion with a friend about that last week. My cover doesn't scream romance. Well, maybe if you set one, like, those old cards where you open up the cards and goes, hello, my baby, hello, my baby, right? You could have it so when they open up your book, it goes, romance. I chose him because he was the perfect fit for the story. The cigarette. Oh, you're talking about the new book you just released, right? Look, I'm a marketing genius. Romance. But ultimately, the cover should be whatever you want it to be, because if you're relying on the artwork or your product to sell your stuff, it's going to be a lot harder than if you work on building your brand. If your brand wasn't important, then authors wouldn't do interviews, authors wouldn't get out there and do press, authors, they wouldn't have people, they wouldn't have ARC readers to be like, hey, this book was great. Because if enough people say it's great, there's an opportunity for people to go, well, if the majority says it's great, then I'm going to look into this book. Also, I like the cover. In romance, I've seen quite a few books with the same artwork, but different poses. Read one and it was great. Oh, I read one and it was great. But sometimes second book is not good. Yeah, I know that happens a lot with series and romance. Not a lot, I should say. It happens. It happens. Listen, I know you will improve on it with the angel story. So I hope to improve on that with the angel story. I know you will. All right, let's keep going. So when it comes to neglecting your platform, building an audience and engagement, see, the thing is, if you focus on building an audience by showing who you are, your ideas, thoughts, and expertise, people will begin to connect with you. This leads to the potential of sales because A, they want to support someone they are interested in. It's the reason we buy shirts and stuff when we go to rock concerts, or we take off of work to go see a band or a play or whatever the case is, right? It's the reason we go to movies. Okay. B, they want to see you keep bringing your ideas to light so they know if they give you money, it'll allow you to do what you do. And C, marketing your brand allows you to sell more than a book. Because when people support a brand and connect to it emotionally, they'll buy what you present. That's why a band can sell a shirt. That's why a movie can sell merchandise, right? Star Wars sells merchandise. That is not a movie. They are action figures and stuff like that. That's why this guy right here can sell TV ideas, right? It's because people want to support the brand and the IP and everything it represents. That's why series, especially in romance, should be singular colors or similar. I agree with that. Artwork. AI, here I come. Sorry, but buying it is expensive. That's true. You could also make your own covers. I don't know if you've. I like. This is my cover. I have. Boop. See, I did a nice little cover for myself. I made this, but again, it's hard work making a cover. But the thing is, once you find what works for you, it's good to do. But AI is a little, you got to be careful with AI. But I'm boring, retired nurse who lives with a cat. You already had me at boring, retired nurse who lives with a cat. You don't understand. My excitement is sitting on the couch, petting my cat while watching TV. If someone else does that, I can relate, and I want to support that because I want other people to be able to sit on the couch, pet their cats, and watch TV. Also, you said retired nurse. You had me at nurse. Hello, nurse. See, you get it. You get it. All right, let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. All right. But also, so when people support a brand, when people are emotionally connected to a brand, they attach to it in a way that allows them to want to support whatever it is that brand represents. In this case, you are the author, and the brand and everything you stand for is your brand. It's your missions, your morals, your purposes, the way you look at the world. But you might be saying, Thomas, what is an expertise that I provide? Well, what you do as a writer, or I should say, how you write and what you write about. Like the themes. For me, I talk about themes and subjects that are constantly in my books through my personal experience. So if you go to my social media, there's a great mixture of things from my battle with chronic depression, my battle with cancer, my loss and grief and how I deal with that. I celebrate often my friends, and I push and elevate them because I believe in relationships and community, right? So there's all these things that I do on my social media that also are reflected in my books. So in my books, because I deal with trauma, they find the themes of trauma find their way into the books, or overcoming trauma, the emotional depths of pain, and dealing with real world psychological truths, even in epic fantasy. I talk about healing, how talking about it heals you, how having good support systems around you help heal you. I talk about perseverance in my own life when I fail and succeed. And these elements are in my books, but I don't say they're in my books. It's just these are subjects that I'm an expert in because they are things I talk about and I experience. They are they say, write what you know. Well, these are the things I know, and I represent those things. I don't just post them for you to buy a book. I post them because it does help me work through what I am living through. It helps motivate me. My other thing is I hope to motivate others because I do believe in helping people. So if I talk about my chronic depression, or I talk about my failures and how I succeeded or how I overcame it, hopefully it inspires somebody. That's the purpose of sort of having a mission, right? Or incited purpose. But what if you're not like me? Well, you could use the social media posts as a chance to showcase your writing skills. So, how you write prose, how you write immersion, how you experience things. So, do you write in first person normally in your novels? Write a post in first person of your experience of what you did that day, how you overcame something, how you went out and did something, right? But another area of expertise is that you're a writer. So talk about writing, what it means to you, and how your journey has ups and downs. Because in reality, people want to see you succeed. They just don't want to hear about it, which means they'll support your adventure when you're talking about your emotional experience in what you fail and succeed at. But how often will they care if you say, buy my book? How often do people interact with those posts when you write, buy my book is available? Over, say, yesterday I got back notes from my 3 beta readers, and their response made me realize that I put a lot of myself there. The way they talked about the pain of the MC was going and how they were going through their emotional journey. To see that come through reminds me of why I love writing. Those are 2 different kind of posts, and one of those is going to create a little bit more interaction because it's true. That example would be true for that person. When words collide for am I missing something? Oh, AI, here I come. Sorry, but buying it is expensive. Oh, this is okay. At when world, oh, that's the name of the thing. Okay. At when world, duh. I'm sorry. At When Worlds Collide 2024, first sci-fi author in Canada, had first website. The panel recommended Substack. 1,000 people at 5 is 5. Well, I mean, that is true. There's a great philosophy of your first 1,000 true fans. If you can, so let's say you have 50,000 people following you, but out of those 50,000, you have 1,000 true fans. Anything you sell is a victory, right? So if you sell a book and you make $5 and you know those 1,000 true fans are going to buy it and you get that's $5,000, right? But if you sell merchandise, you know 1,000 people are going to at least buy something of that merchandise, right? And it's all about building your first true 1,000 fans. Even if you get 100,000 people to watch you, 1,000 true fans, which is ultimately 1%, will help you succeed. And it usually leads to purchases or support because they are true fans are emotionally connected to you. The panel said, stay away from TikTok. This is what I'll say. I constantly talk about, like when I used to do speaking at colleges or when I would go and talk about success and things like that, I always talk about network, market, and practice, right? You have to network to build and cultivate relationships to develop strong circle of influences. You got to market to develop a brand, so people will build to build basically a relationships, build awareness, and create interest, so it generates sales. And then you need to practice to learn the industry. But I say the same thing to everyone. You have to network, market, and practice to be successful. But how you network, market, and practice is the variable that is up to you. Some people don't like going out to events. They have anxieties, things like that. But they still need the network. So what do? They have smaller groups. They hang out with their friends. They build relationships with their friends and maybe online. That is okay as long as you're networking. So the idea of not to use TikTok, I would disagree. I would say don't use TikTok if you don't want to use TikTok. So whatever works for you is going to work for you. But you do have to network, market, practice. How you do that is the variable of your success and career. I'm a bordering healthcare. A boring healthcare aide living with my 83-year-old mom and unemployed sister, building my insanity defense when they find the bodies. That's I get it. I get it. I get that. How do we sell that? Ghost Cat. Hello, Ghost Cat. Welcome to the insanity. How do you, well, talk about it. Talk about, I don't know if, obviously you could be making a joke, but either way, it's very funny. And I get it. I completely get it. Like our lives aren't like, where do we connect to? But as an example, if I was going to sell this, talking about your struggles of living there and wanting to figure out how to create an insanity defense, that would technically be your adventure and your journey, and people would relate to that and connect to your issues, not because you are a health care nurse that's helping your mother, but because people that feel like they're in the same situation with you. So that's the empathy connection through emotion. But more importantly, how do you deal with it yourself is an expertise that might leak into your novels, and you might not even realize it, that your books are talking about what you're dealing with all that stuff. The unit is getting a padding room ready for me. Well, listen, as long as they bring you food, water, and a book, you'll be good. All right. Number 3, waiting for the validation instead of taking control. This is something that even in the music industry that I saw a lot, where people were like, I have to wait until I have a great website. I got to wait till I have a full album. I got to wait until I'm really good. And they just wouldn't start. They wouldn't get going. So, but the other thing is, there was this mindset in the music industry that what I'm going to talk about with the writing community, where like musicians would say, if I don't get signed to a label, then A, I'm not good enough, and B, I'm not a professional, and maybe even C, I should give up. So, the other with authors, it's the if you're not traditionally published, are you even good enough to be a writer? And too many writers rely exclusively on traditional publishing as a way of being validated and wait for approval rather than taking ownership of their own journey. Now, I know the majority of you watching this episode probably and most likely either already self-published or leading the self-publishing, and I want you to know that is a great avenue. But I'm going to give some insight into self-publishing in a second, because ignoring the self-publishing avenues and the hybrid options, it's still going to allow you an opportunity to build and develop your brand. So before I go into that, let's talk a little bit. I'm so shy. This is an issue. Again, being shy, as long as you find ways that work for you. If you have friends already, you're already networking. Your friend to your left, even one, is a form of networking. If you can talk to people easier on the internet through group chats and stuff like that, that is a form of networking. It's just about getting involved with the community however you can. It's not necessarily about going beyond what makes you uncomfortable. I do recommend that, like, pushing your boundaries is good, and not your boundaries of safety, but your boundaries of like, I don't really like going out, but let me try to go out, like that kind of pushing your boundary, right? Like if it feels uncomfortable, let's try to break past it, but never do it at the cost or expense of your peace. Join writing groups. We have writers come to ours, and I always purchase at least one book because of how they. Yes, exactly. That's a really great insight for Ghost Cat. And writing groups are a wonderful way to meet other shy people. I assure you, and talk about books and stuff like that. So I could do a few paragraphs on how I always manage to write something medical in my stories and see how many people find that. You could, but instead of doing it as paragraphs, you could do it as a post. Just a quick couple lines, maybe like use 40 or 50 characters, and just talk about one instance of the medical field, or how you learned that, or what you liked about it. What was your emotional experience with it? Remember, put it through your lens, because then people can have empathy of your experience with that information. Tell some stories about your patients. Yeah, names excluded, of course. Yeah. You can't talk about Daryl. I don't want to mention Daryl's name and how he used to just pee on everything, because telling people about Daryl would be. All right. I want to join a group, and well, you should, Ghost Cat. I'm sure you're responding to Cindy's writing group, and a great way to do that is reach out to your libraries. That's a wonderful area to look out for writing groups. Another thing you could do is probably go to colleges or high schools, if depending on your age. If you're still in high school or school in general, there might be writing groups within your school. If you're out of school, you could also go to colleges, even if you're not a college student, look for writing groups. Build interest. Yeah, you got to build interest. Me too, Ghost. I want to join a writing group. Yeah, people would think it's fiction. I mean, victory, right? Hey, this is fiction, and you're like, that's what I write. All right, so let's continue going on about waiting for validation. When we come into these mental prisons of, hey, I'm not traditionally published, maybe I should give it up, things like this. Having that mentality does lead authors to abandon their writing journey, or feel like what they're doing isn't worth the time of audiences, because traditional publishing passed up their work. But honestly, writing through traditional publishing comes with another level of problems for an author beyond what you're trying to say in a story, because agents and publishers are looking for books that not only sell, but also have the biggest return. So if you're writing a 150,000 word romance novel, it probably won't get picked up as your first time author. You haven't proven yourself. And it's expensive to publish that book. And the return on that is less, because you can't sell a book for more money. You know what I'm saying? Like, if the average book costs $15, you can't sell it for 20 just because it's bigger. It has to stay within that world. This is why the agents and publishers, they want books that have quick hooks, or are made they're more about the trends that are happening, and are sure wins, and also short, because the shorter the book, the less it costs to print it, which means they make more money on the expense. So why? So agents and publishers make money when the book sells, not when you get published and accept your advance. So an agent and a publisher aren't looking to make you money. They're looking to make themselves money. And if they can utilize you because again, if you're a great writer and you sell your first 3 books and they do well, but your 4th, 5th, and 6th don't sell, they're going to drop you, because you're not making them money. They don't care, right? But writers grow up idolizing big publishing houses, just like musicians grow up idolizing record labels, thinking the validation of these publishing houses equals success. And it creates a fear that self-publishing will be seen as failure rather than entrepreneurial choice. But the thing is, you're in control of your career, whether you want to write to be picked up by a traditional publisher, or you want to self-publish. Because honestly, either choice is great, and it comes down to what you're willing to do and want to do. But just remember that self-publishing and traditionally publishing are both full-time jobs, not because you have to write all the time, but because in either case, you're still responsible for marketing, networking, and building your brand's relevance. And being published doesn't mean you'll get enough money up front to do that. So how would you do that? Well, the short answer is save money up until you have enough to survive on 18 months or longer, hire a PR firm, get some press, and build your brand and relationships with the community to establish a presence. The long version, well, I don't have all day, so But I do have lots of business videos and advice videos on the channel. All right, let's catch up to what's going on. More like terror stories. Yeah, that's it's I get it when you work in the nursing industry, right? Our collab story is out mid-April, I think. Oh, by the way, yeah, if you haven't been following these videos every Saturday and Sunday, Elle is working on a collab book, and that's an example of working within your community and getting to build relationships with other authors, and that also helps establish brand. And it's a really great way to not only network, but you're marketing. Okay, and you're marketing with like-minded people, and everybody's putting an effort in. It's really a good way to kind of jump on that. I love that you're doing that, by the way, Elle. Cindy said, sometimes if you self-publish and do well, they might take you on next book because proven record. Yes, that's how lots of new authors get out there. Otherwise, we wouldn't hear from them. That's correct. Cindy, that's 100% true. Same thing with music. In the music industry, if a band was making money on their own, sort of like Kid Rock, the record label comes to them and says, hey, listen, we'll offer you a percentage of what you would make if you were doing this full time. Because they basically evaluate what you're making on your own, because why would you take a deal if you're already making the money that you need? So they work on it. But again, even if you did self-publish and someone came to you and wanted to traditionally publish you, it has to come down to what your desires and needs are. Because if you have a specific kind of plan, you might as well stick to it. Not that I'm a huge Brandon Sanderson fan, but his model is a great idea. His model is a great example of what it can take to ultimately become self-published, because that's what he's doing, right? He built his brand, he developed himself, even went through traditionally published avenues. But what did he do ultimately? He's stepping away from that. In fact, he refused. I've talked about this. He refused to publish his books on Amazon Audible until they helped better the rates for other indie authors. But more importantly, he did his sorry about him. He did his whatchamacallit, Kickstarter, and made a ridiculous millions of dollars, right? Because he has the fan base. So, if you develop your audience and you continue to establish relationships with them, you don't necessarily need to be traditionally published, because it's just the job of an author isn't necessarily to sell books. It's to develop a brand and a relationship with their audience, and then that leads to sales. If you try to sell your book, you're not going to build the relationship. And if you try to do both, you don't really get great results. But if you focus on the relationship with your audience, it leads to extramental sales of your books, which then finance you to continue to do what you're doing, which we'll talk about in a minute. I have other notes that will go into that. Work, try everything. I mean, sometimes you got to work a little bit, you got to work a little bit. Way to go, Flowers. I know, right? I'm so happy for her. Woo! Thumbs up. All right. All right. Let's keep it going. Number cuatro. We're almost done. Failing to diversify income streams. Now, what we got here before we get into it? The authors group I'm part of says they're just as much work with traditional publishing as with self. Well, yeah, agree. Because again, I'm very familiar with the music industry, and when you get signed to a record label, you're not automatically wealthy. Those $1 million deals and stuff like that. Those people are in the industry and built relationships and got to a certain point. They prove themselves with like writing for other artists and stuff like that. So when you hear about like they got $2 million up front, yeah, but now they have to earn $2 million before they earn anything else, right? Anyway, they also need to use that $2 million to pay for their PR, their team, their advertising, their travel, their touring. That money is to be reinvested into their business. Otherwise, they go broke, and then they have to take more money from the record label, which they're happy to do, because now you owe more money and you don't make money, right? That's what happened with bands like NSYNC and stuff like that. But when it comes to authors, the traditional publisher, right? So they're going to give you an advance. And if you're unknown, you're probably going to see maybe $5,000, maybe $10,000, maybe, right? To see those $100,000 things, your book has to have the legs on it to be a seller, right? But more importantly, when it comes to self-publishing, they're not paying for your advertisement. They will advertise, but you have to pay them back for that. So whatever money they put into marketing, you have to pay that back before you see a cent. Not that you have to pay it out of your pocket. Like obviously, if you make no money, they cut the deal and they throw you on the street, and you don't owe that money because they're investing in the potential. But every dollar they spend on anything, from getting a PR firm to doing marketing to doing your book to printing your book, when you're like, hey, can I get 100 copies? Absolutely. Now you owe them for those 100 copies. Not it's a wholesale, but you still owe them because they spent money, right? If they put you on a tour, right? A press tour, they're putting up the money. So now you owe that. So you're not going to see money until all that money is paid off. So you still need to put in the work to build and develop your audience so you can ultimately make money to get to a point where you're starting to make money. It's a whole thing. But let's talk about failing to diversify income streams. This is where I made the mistake back in my music days, thinking my music was going to afford my life. Because if I'm not making money solely on my creative outlets, I'm a failure. Or at least that's what I thought. I really did think that was not healthy. Many writers believe their only source of income could and will come from book sales because they're awesome, amazing, unique. And once people read this book, they'll love it. However, people can only buy the book once. Well, selling books is great, and relying on it is not necessarily a smart business approach. So, like I said, there's a misconception that making money from anything other than books cheapens the art. Additionally, many writers simply don't know how to monetize their skills beyond publishing or organizing their money into assets that generate passive income. If you're not doing these things, it's not a judgment on who you are. The whole reason I'm even bringing it up is to get your brain thinking, going, oh, wait, being a writer is more than just writing and selling books. Now, I know who has the time to do or learn any new things, right? I know I don't, but I did. Because when it came to passive income, that's really how I do what I do now. I live off of assets, right? So, however, that doesn't mean you need to. And remember, always do what makes you comfortable. I don't never do anything you don't want to do. That's what I always say. But thinking about your passion, what skills do you have? Can you edit? Can you teach? Can you speak on writing? Can you consult others, etc., 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 right? Maybe you can create courses, freelance write, do Patreon, or ghostwrite. There are always avenues to take what it is you do as a fundamental skill and break it up into smaller skills. As a writer, you can read, so beta reading, alpha reading. As a writer, you might edit. As a writer, you can ghostwrite. As a writer, you can teach writing, right? So there are things you can do to add more avenues of income. But most importantly, when you do start earning money at a surplus over and above your overhead, invest back into your brand, just like I was saying with the bands, right? You reinvest your earnings into marketing, production, hiring assistants, and getting everyone from professional development through PR firms, or basically building your team. You don't like reaching out to people to do podcasts? Hire somebody to do it, right? You want to reinvest into the machine that you're creating, which is your company, your business. Because a diversified income stream allows you to thrive creatively without constantly worrying about financial returns from one singular source. Eventually, you'll be in a position where you can write because the system is working for you. However, you'll always need to network who you know, market who knows you, and practice how well you know yourself. I'll say this much. I used to think having a job was the only way I made money. And then I was like, oh, wait, I need more money. So I need to get a second job. So I got a second job. And now I had less hours. And it wasn't until I started meeting mentors and listening to people much smarter than I am, where I started realizing, wait a minute, money needs to work for me. I shouldn't be working for money. And I started realizing, well, how do I create avenues of income? Things like that, right? So I started opening up businesses. I have the theater, I have the BBR Productions, I have the Team Rise Together nonprofit foundation. I created I was in the music industry, so I created, we did shows, we produced shows, I helped bands, I consulted, right? I did all these things. But what I was doing was I was creating systems, and then those systems would take over, and now I had to put less time into them, right? So You can't work 5 jobs in a week, you know what I'm saying? Like, you only have so much time. So you have to somehow learn, like, well, I can't write all the time, and I can't sell my books all the time, so I have to learn how to create additional income, et cetera, et cetera. What we got here? L says, "Someone advised me not to beta read, arc read under my pen name." I would agree with that, you know? Use your real name or a different name, like a business name. You could use a business name. There's no issue with that. Um I think what they're saying is if you beta read or arc read under your pen name, it makes you look like an unprofessional author. Which I would maybe it just really depends. Maybe you're the kind of author that helps other people. So is that devaluing your brand, or are you elevating others, right? So like if your brand and your missions and your purposes is to help other people, maybe being a beta reader openly would only help others go, that author not only talks about helping other people, they actually are helping other people. That makes sense. They might expect more from you because you're a published author. Maybe. Oh yeah, I do. All right, number 5. Let's do it. Just want you to know somebody said it was snow. I think Cindy, you said it was snowing where you are. It is so hot here where I am in the Midwest. Just want you to know. Under my real name, I mean. Yeah, I was. Yeah. I know your real name. In fact, somehow I psychically knew it through writing characters. James Fell does this Substack. I think most of his income is there, but he says so many people then buy the book. He writes on this day in history. Shite went down. Oh, the psychic connection. I know your name. Yes, Cindy. But that's the thing. Like when you build your platforms and your system and you start developing your business and these avenues, everything sort of leads into everything else. Even for me, like when I did speaking engagements, I didn't go there to sell anything. I wasn't done and like, you can buy my my package for the weekend. I would not only would I would either get paid to do the speaking engagement or depending on where it was, I'd be like, I want to do it for free. And they'd be like, for free? I go, yeah, because I want to, I just want to help, and I don't want you to charge anybody to see me, or whatever the case may be. And I would do speaking, and then I would just give so much information in the hour and a half, right, that people would just take tons of notes, whatever. And then afterwards, I would stand by the door and there'd be this long line and they would ask follow-up questions and I would answer all the questions. And then depending on how long it took, I'd be like, all right, everyone, please just email me your questions. I'm happy to answer. Because in the industry, especially in the entertainment industry, I was known as somebody who was a provider of knowledge, somebody that was definitely willing to help. And, of course, when I felt people were taking advantage of me, I would cut off any interaction, because don't use people. But that would lead to other things where these people who would talk to me and I would help would refer people to me in a way where they would hire me. I would be hired as a producer. I'd be hired as a consultant. I'd be hired as a writing developer. I'd be hired to write a screenplay. I'd be hired, whatever the case may be. So by just helping others and being available and being out there and doing these things, those speaking engagements, even when free, led to sales that afforded me my life, So everything kind of connects. I'm talking in reference to he did the Substack, which led to book sales. I'm talking a little bit more on a grander notion, but all right. Ignoring long-term relationships and networking, which kind of actually filters from what I was just saying about doing the speaking engagements, giving people my time and leading to opportunities. Networking is about building and cultivating relationships to develop a strong circle of influence. A circle of influence doesn't influence your career. It influences better, stronger habits. Networking isn't about promoting your book or saying, hey, I'm an author, buy my stuff. It's about growing actual relationships that lead to change within yourself and friendships that want to see you thrive. What we got here? Oh, hey, Ro, what's up? Before nations can change, men must change. In other words, develop relationships. Absolutely. Become the change you want to see and do the right by others so others do right by you. Yeah, 100%. Before nations can change, men must change. Excellent quote. Writers who don't connect with others miss out on valuable opportunities and collaborations. That's why you have to be seen and be present. If you're not known, how will they think of you when an opportunity comes up? More importantly, if they don't like you, why would they think of you when an opportunity that's perfect for you comes up? Relationships are door opening opportunities that might not help you today, but will help you down the road. Sure, it happens in a heartbeat sometimes, but let it be known that you're going to have to invest in relationships that will pay off in dividends over the course of 1, 3, 5, 7, and 10 years down the road. Because writing is not a career of isolation. Show interest in other people's work, who they are, and celebrate, elevate, and support people in your circles. Go to writing conferences together, workshops together, bring people together for social media groups, or if you don't have those groups yet, go alone and meet people so you can grow your group. Like we said earlier in the chat, go to writing groups. It's about collaboration, just like Elle is doing. Very proud of you. It's about collaboration to build partnerships. These relationships become partnerships, right? Through co-writing, which again, very proud of Elle, about interviews and promotional exchanges. If I have an interview with a podcast and they're like, sometimes they go, hey, do you know anyone I go, yeah, I got it, right? The majority of my press opportunities have come from friends telling the press opportunity they need to interview me because I'm funny and informative. And then I say, I'm funny looking, or at least that's what my mother tells me. But most importantly, building relationship creates a support system that benefits your career when you realize that some people can open the doors you cannot open, while you can open the doors they can't open. You have to work, grow, and rise together. You have to work within those communities, in your case, authors and writers and people within that industry. You need to grow by referring people to others and share opportunities and education with other people in your life. And you need to rise together by bringing those around you up with you. Once you've found your footing, I assure you, the right people will always do the same for you, because ultimately, the cream rises to the top. Because I'm the cream at the top. Rise to the top. Okay. Old songs. All right. That's it. Now I give the floor to you. Ultimately, what's been your biggest challenge in your writing career? Hey, man. You can ask me questions on anything I talked about today, any of the 5 mistakes, training your career like a hobby instead of business, neglecting platform building and audience engagement, waiting for validation instead of taking control, failing to diverse income streams, and of course, ignore long-term relationships and networking. You could ask questions about that, or you could ask questions about writing in general. If you'd like to ask questions about your writing career right now, the floor is yours. I'll be happy to answer some questions, maybe give you some advice on marketing, networking, just in general, etc., etc. Woo! Hello, Cindy. Authors are the best at encouraging authors and getting ideas for when you're stuck. Yes, I agree. I would like to also add the caveat that we should be elevating and helping one another beyond just creative outlets when it comes to being an author. Basically, what I'm saying in this video alone is that it's like, well, I just got an interview and I think I know someone who would be great for this interview. Another thing is like, I want to go to this writing conference. Let me try to get some of my buddies together and we'll go to the writing conference together. Another thing is, you can buy tables, right, at like, say, a Comic-Con or a writing conference, right? But buy the table together. Get a couple of writer friends to buy maybe 2 or 3 tables next to each other, and then you go there. And then what you do is you network that whole thing together. You know, you build relationships. You ask people out to go get some dinner or lunch after the convention, whatever the case may be. The point is, it's about it. I agree with the creative outlet. I'm not saying don't do that. Absolutely, authors helping each other with the creative outlets, getting ideas. some of my greatest collaborations come from people helping me with my ideas and vice versa. But I'm talking above and beyond that and thinking about the larger scale career. So, Ghost Cat, by the way, thank you, Ghost Cat, for coming by and hanging out. I have a book, but I don't know what to do next. All right. This is all great advice. All good advice. Thank you, Ghost Cat. I really appreciate that. When you're asking, I have a book, but I don't know what to do next. I'm going to ask you a question, and then just if you answer that question, then I could give you a full answer to that. When you say I have a book, but I don't know what to do next, is the book finished? Does it have a cover? Do you have the ISBN number? I'm only asking because there is a long list of things you could do after a book is done, and then there's like, I have the product. It's ready to be sold. What do I do next? So I just asked and just clarify that, and then I could give you a deeper answer. Cindy says we encourage buying tables together because they're expensive and yeah, 100. Yeah, that is. I assure you, that's a great way to go. And also creates like a small little tour. Like, authors could get together and be like this, and you can name the group of authors too. Like the whatever. The flying writers, whatever, whatever. And you create a tour and you create a website together. You pay for a website together, and it shows all the tour dates. But also on that website, there are tabs that lead to each of the authors that are a part of this writing group. So it's important to think like that too. Big scale. Until this year, I had no idea there were so many authors living in and near Calgary. Yeah, I hear Canada is huge. And there's a lot of people there. A lot of my good friends are actually in Canada. I toured Canada as a band once, a long time ago. Funny story. When we went to Canada, me and the other main guy in the band, the drummer, were like, why don't we just give away all the shirts? Like, who cares about selling them? And then some of the other bandmates were like, hey, we should sell them. They make money. And I was like, no, let's just give them away. So when we got to some of the shows, we just gave the shirts away. We just gave every single shirt away. And like people were hugging. They were like trying to give us money. They're like, no, take the money. And we're like, no, here's the shirt. It's yours. And they would take pictures with us, whatever. Cut to like 4 years later. I'm playing Call of Duty on the internet with people. And my name, my war name is Telmorn Altanian, which is my character's name in the band. And I'm playing, we're shooting, and someone goes, hey, where did you get that name from? And I go, oh, it's my stage name from my band that I used to be in, Tenebra. And they're like, oh my God, you gave me a shirt. I still have the shirt. I love that shirt. And like your show was so good. And because I had an emotional connection with them and I gave them free merch and I hugged them and I took, right, all that led to, they still remembered me just by my name. So that was really exciting. It's written, but that's it. Okay. All right. So thank you, bro. Yeah, no, it was really great. Exciting moment. But all right. So let me answer this question. Oh, thank you, El. Thank you. Yeah, no, I love meeting with people and stuff like that. Yeah, the world is small. It's small and it's a big thing. So Ghost Cat, let's do it. It's written, but that's it. All right. I love that it's written. Thank you. Yeah, it was pretty cool. It's pretty cool. All right. So, you have a book. Well, all right. You need an ISBN number, or you can go through Amazon and they give you a free one, but then you're restricted by Amazon. Okay. Then you need a book platform. You could do Ingram Grim Sparks. I spelled that wrong. Or Amazon KDP, right? Okay. There are other things you could do as well, but another thing you can do, you got to market. All right. So you build your brand and platform. Okay. With social media, right? A secondary idea is to get out into your actual community. So this would be like libraries, writing events, festivals, etc. All right, you got to start getting out there and just get, people got to know who you are and stuff like that. Okay. Additionally, you do want to network with other writers, authors, whatever. And the reason is because if you do this, it'll help you develop other avenues. So this part right here, this number 3, it'll start building your awareness of other avenues that are available within your community, within your town, stuff like that. Okay. Another thing you should be doing if your book is done is obviously you want to learn your industry. So do you want to self-publish or traditionally published? If you want to traditionally publish, you still need to get this this is the first thing you definitely have to do. You have to do this. Okay, you have to do this. And you might be saying, but Thomas, how do I do that? Let me see if I can get you the thing. Let me see if I can get you the thing. It's Bowery or something. Okay. You go here, and you could purchase your ISBN there, and you'll have to do that if you're doing a paperback, a hardcover. You don't really have to do it for ebook, but I recommend you can, and I recommend you do because it helps with libraries and stuff like that down the line. But it also if you do an audiobook, so every variation of the book or every media variation, you're going to need an ISBN, and they sell it in bulk too. So you could buy it individually, or you could buy it in groups of 10, I think 100 and 1,000. All right. So these are the things that I would focus on right now, so I don't overwhelm you. But if a book is done, you have to get this. If you're going to self-publish, actually, I should do this. I should do. All right. If you're going to try to traditionally publish, you have to start writing a proposal. I was like, why can't I think of the word? You got to write a proposal, and that proposal will ultimately allow you to send it to agents. Okay. So you want to send it to agents. I have an actual video on that that talks about what you're supposed to send, how to write a proposal. Anyway, you send it to an agent. If they like the proposal, they'll ask you for first 10 pages. You send that to them. If they like that, then they'll ask for the whole book. If they like the whole book, then it might lead to them saying they want to represent you. If they want to represent you, the query letter you're asking about, the query letter leads to the proposal. But if you go to websites, sometimes they tell you can just send a proposal. So you got to do your research. I'm going for the broad strokes. But you go to agent websites, make sure that they represent authors that fit within your field and genre. However, I wouldn't approach an author that already has maybe like 5 or 6 authors that are writing what you're writing, because then they might not be interested. However, there are different things you can do, but I would recommend starting here, especially with the networking and the marketing. Get yourself immersed in your community. Just go on the internet and look at writing groups and stuff like that that are around your neighborhood. I don't know where you're at, but that would definitely be a good start. What do we got here? Oh, is there? I'm gonna struggle, but I might push myself to see if there's a group near me. There is, yeah. So it's called the Google, and you just write into the Google, and you say, "Hey, I don't really want to go out, but is there a writing group near me?" And then Google will be like, "Of course there is, and there's a pizzeria." So, try that out. Become companies so copyright never ends. Especially copyrights end after 75 years. Doesn't matter if you're a company or not. However, you can reinstitute the IP, but the original Mickey Mouse is no longer owned by Disney. So copyrights, trademarks, things like that. You don't have to be a company to get a copyright. In New York, actually, any copyright, which is just the written word and stuff like that. It's like $65 on the internet. You go through the copyright.gov. So that's important too. But copyright just protects you if somebody writes literally the exact same book you wrote, or takes your characters and writes a story with those characters. And it's very clear that it's those characters and not just the names. You just take them to court, and then because you have proof that you copywrote your stuff at an earlier date than, say, their copyright number, that's all the copyright does. It protects you in the long run. But you know, oh, you already answered that. Row. And each format your book is in, you have a different ISBN. Correct. Like the audiobook would have an ISBN number. The hardback would have an ISBN number. The paperback would also have an ISBN. Also, if you do, like, let's say you publish 5 books, and each of those 5 paperback books have an ISBN number, but then you want to sell the 5 books as a series, like a box set. That box set would have an ISBN number as well. Idaho. Potatoes. It's very nice over there. You're Midwest like me. Look for the writers groups. I assure you that is a game changer. Rear Window. Excellent Alfred Hitchcock movie. I'm just saying. There's a show. Have you ever watched, I don't know if Person of Interest is out there, by Landra, as they say in Italiano, Landra. Di dove sei? So Person of Interest did like a Rear Window like episode that was based on, like he had his leg broken and everything. It's really great. Oh, Secret Window with Johnny Depp, and also the author Stephen King. By the way, Stephen King is in an episode of Sons of Anarchy. I think it's season 2. Yeah, it's season 2. It's like near the end of season 2. Yes, it had a window. It had a window. I can see through the window. All right. Any other questions? I love questions. Oh, here we go. Does a poor man's copyright still exist? All right. Let's talk about technology. So the moment you create your works, the file itself, no matter how many times you change it, will hold the data that dictates the date. And that date can work in a court. However, if you really wanted to, you can mail it to yourself. But the mailing to yourself is that the stamp has the date on it, right? You tell them to stamp it. You have to get them to, you can't just mail it. You have to stamp it, right? The post office has a stamp, and they go, right? When it comes to copywriting, all right, I can create a story called The Way of Kings, okay? I can create a character called Calcea, right? Or Davalin, or whatever his name is. I could do that. What I can't do is write The Way of Kings. I cannot write every chapter. I can't create the same character arcs. I can't do that. But I could write a book called Way of Kings. I'd probably get a trademark infringement if he has Way of Kings trademark it, which I don't think he does. But the copyright doesn't protect the words, The Way of Kings. The copyright protects the intellectual property of its organized function. It's the same thing as like if I write a game, like a board game with mechanics, the copyright protects the words in order and the structure, but it doesn't, like, I can't copyright rolling 3d6s. Like the rolling 3d6s is a mechanic that might exist elsewhere, right? The mechanic doesn't work. But the copyright of the instruction booklet of, if you roll 3d6s to accomplish tickling the toes of the tantalizer, that's copywritten. And I cannot write that same exact sentence. Additionally, there's an example of, what's his name? Born on a bayou. Born on a bayou. I'm looking at him. Bayou. Born on a bayou. All right, so Credence Clearwater Revival, right? Uh, and John Fogerty. John Fogerty comes from Credence Clearwater Revival, and they were writing albums together, and they all like own the rights to every song, right? They created a copyright together on albums. And John Fogerty left the band because he was actually writing all the music. But like the band was like, we have to, and then people in the band were getting mad because they'd be like, we're not writing anything. And he'd be like, write whatever you want. And then they would write and their songs would fail. And then the only song that John Fogerty wrote on the album would do successful. So they would get mad, whatever. They kicked him out. This is a long-winded story, but I assure you there's a point to it. So John Fogerty created his own band, right? And I'm sure you know every John Fogerty song that exists even now, like as the young boys would say. He's a Fortunate Son, Green River, Up Around the Bend, Have you ever seen the rain? Right? That's him, right? So Proud Mary, keep on turning. Well, he didn't write, he recorded that in his own way. Right? Looking out my back. Anyway, tons of songs. He wrote a song that is what is it called? It's about playing baseball or something like that. I don't know. Down on a corn. Anyway, he wrote a song, and they really are a great band, by the way. Very good band. They wrote a song. John Fogerty wrote a song. It became a hit, and Credence sued John Fogerty. Okay, they sued him because his sound and his song, because he wrote all the songs in Credence, sounded very similar to Credence because his style, his voicings, his guitar, everything. And well, at court, John Fogerty played the guitar for both songs. He says, this song is playing it like this, and this song is playing it like this. And the judge was like, oh, they're not the same. And even though they had the copyright, they didn't win the case because John Fogerty is allowed to play ADC. He's allowed to play G, D, A, right? Like you're allowed, no one can copyright the chords. It's the exact melody and phrases you copyright. Like when I had the band, we would copyright the music, but it's like playing da na 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 now 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 now. I could copyright that. But if someone plays down now 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 now, very very close, could potentially bring them to court because you could sue anybody for anything. But the copyright will show that it is not the same, right? It's like I could make a band called Black Sabbath, write a song called Black Sabbath. The only thing I can't do is make the Black Sabbath logo look like theirs, and I can't have the song go boom, boom, boom. What is this that stands before me? I can't do that. I can't use that melody in my vocals. Even if I change the lyrics, if I say, I like milk and cookies, right? Like I can't do that because the melody is copywritten. But the words you can't, it's, what is this that stands before me? I can't necessarily use, but I could write, what is this? The pain and suffering that stands before me. Now I can use that. So copyrights only protect the identical phrasings of words and how things play out. I have a video on copyright and trademark and stuff like that on my channel. These are things that like I had to deal with lawyers and stuff like that back when I was definitely in the music. But my point is, get a copyright, but you can actually copyright your works. So that was how I was saving time and energy. My lawyer was like, stop copywriting everything. Just do a collection of Thomas J. Bellezza's collection of lyrics and Thomas J. Bellezza's collections of transcribed music, right? And I would just collect like whatever 30 or 40 songs at a time and do volume one, right? So I did that with my jokes too. Like if I had 100 jokes, I'd copyright and be like Thomas J. Bellezza's, jokes, volume one. So you could do that with your books too. You could just You could even actually technically write out your outlines and your treatments, and you could copyright those as a valid form because it's representing the melody. Right? It's the melody is the foundational arc of your characters, right? But you can't really trade. You can't copyright there are only 7 stories. They can't be like, oh, they have a story about a monster. Stephen King's not going to sue someone because they came up with a clown who's a monster. Well, the killer clowns from outer space. I'm going to sue you. You have a clown. It's killer and clown and it's from outer space. It's the emotional arcs. It's don't worry about copyright as much as you think. And also the other big funny thing is in the industry with writing screenplays and stuff like that, everyone's always worried they're going to steal my stuff. They're going to steal my stuff. They could steal your stuff even if it's copyrighted because they just have to change certain things and they just change things here and there, right? And it's very hard to sue for that kind of stuff. But anyway, great band. Oh, we love that. Yes. Oh, yeah. I sing a lot of Sabbath when I used to go to karaoke. What is that? Into the Void, right? It's rocket's engine. Oh no, that's a rocket's engine burning fuel so fast. Up into the night skies they blast. Through the universe the engines whine. Could it be the end of man and time? Do 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 do. Back on Earth, the flame life burns low. I love grew up on that stuff. How does it work with using restaurant brand names in stores or song lyrics? All right. So if in a book you're allowed to reference pop, you're allowed pop, like culture pop, right? So if in the book let's say I'm writing a book and they are sitting in McDonald's wearing a Black Sabbath shirt, no copyright infringement. It is what is it called? It's called fair use. Fair use copyright. Yeah. So it's a change of medium. It allows limited use of copyrighted material without permission for purposes like criticism. So basically, I can say Black Sabbath sucks, and they can't sue me, right? Because you used the name Black Sabbath in your review, they can't sue me. I could say I really like listening to Black Sabbath's Paranoid. I like the simplicity of the lyrics. Where they say whatever the case may be. Or if we did Into the Void, I really like the first 2 lines. Rocket engines burning fuel so fast, or up into the night sky they blast. Excellent visuals. You can't get sued for that. If I did a news report on it, you can't be sued for that. If I'm teaching, if I'm going, rocket burning engines fuel so fast, if you could see the rhythm of these lines, I can't be sued for that. Stuff like if I'm doing it for research, you can't be sued for that. So if you're writing a book, as long as it's used as a form of representation through character experience and choice, for example, if the character's walking around singing the song, ragged, right? And he's go, Thomas walked through the streets, muttering to himself, the lyrics to, Into the Void, rockets, engine burning fuels. The thing you can't do is write the whole song in the book, but you could write a line here, a line there. You could say that he is singing Into the Void by Black Sabbath. You could do that. They can be in the store. The thing that becomes a little troublesome is with the trademarks. So, like, I'll give you an example. When I did screenplays more often, the legal team was looking for product placement. So if I say he's drinking a Pepsi, I'd have to take it out because now the lawyers have to get permission because what's going to be on the screen? We're using the Pepsi trademark and logo. We're associating the drink, the brand with certain things. iPhones, for example, won't let villains have iPhones. So what did we have to do? the character drinks soda. That's the change. If you said a certain kind of tequila, that would have to change in the script. In a book, it really comes down to how you're using it. So you have to be careful with that. But there's also another law where in public, yeah, what is it? There's a law for our things in public in a photo copyright. There's so it's called taking, like, so for example, if I took a photo of something or I filmed something and it's in the background but not necessarily narratively important, the copyright is protected. So yeah, because it is a part of, I'm trying to look for it is part of fair use, but I can't remember it. But like if you're filming a movie and McDonald's is in the back of the shot, like McDonald's can't sue you. But like if they talk about McDonald's being the worst place in the world and like they go into McDonald's, that becomes an issue. But in a book, as long as it's, if you have to, just change the name, like if you're worried about it. But you do have, like, anytime you mention a trademark, that's when you start getting into certain touchy areas, because trademarks are a little stronger than a copyright. A trademark is like this logo is the trademark. The design is the trademark. But Pepsi, right, as a name, I can call something Pepsi, but it's this trademark and design that becomes the trademark. The Apple on iPhone, it's a logo, but it's they trademark the logo, right? So those are a little bit more difficult. But if you mention something more or less in story, like, oh yeah, I just had McDonald's the other day, it was delicious, you probably won't have to worry about that. But if you're going to traditional publishing, they do technically have legal look through that and be like, is this infringing? So that's why I like writing fantasy. I don't have to worry about it. I named the bands but described the lyrics. I have rewritten some lyrics once. Yeah, you're allowed to do that too. You're allowed to take lyrics and play around with it. I was working on a story where a character was singing a song, but the lyrics were wrong. And then somebody mentioned that the lyrics are wrong, and they're like, I don't know. I just love the song, but I don't know. Who really knows the lyrics past the first chorus? So they're not quoted directly, or a character makes a quip about a lyric. Yeah, you can do that. You could even write the whole first verse or use a chorus. You just can't use the whole song in a row. It can't just be like a page and the page is like the full lyrics. Like they'll start being like, what's going on? Yeah, I figured when it comes to lyrics, it's probably came down to the amount of lyric. Yeah, kind of. Yeah, you can't. I figured free advertising for them. What would they care? It comes down to the implication or use of the item versus the substance. So, like, for example, if you have a serial killer and you're describing terrible, horrible things in great detail, and he's using a trademarked knife brand or, the George Foreman grill to burn the person, George Foreman Grill Company is going to be like, could it just be a grill? Right. And you'd have to be like, no, it has to be George Foreman Grill because he loves George Foreman. And they'd be like, all right, well, we're going to court. He choked them to death with their iPhone. Apple's coming after you, But in film and television, when it's on screen, because the trademark is seen, that is an issue. So like Google, you can't use Google in a film or television unless there's a royalty paid or like, or whatever the case may be. So that's usually like, yeah, it's reasonable, So it's usually like they make up like like a streamer or whatever, What's this? Going into Act 2 this week. You said to reread Act 1 and seed where possible. So I'm on that. Any other advice? No. Yeah, absolutely. First of all, awesome. Congratulations. I'm that's you're getting far in that book. And I love that you went back and you did some seeding. If you're moving on, going into Act 2, if you're moving into Act 2, one of the other things that you should take note to is where are the characters emotionally, and what is their movement in their character arc leading into Act 2? Because your job in Act 2 is to do what? Raise the stakes, increase the tension. That doesn't always mean like they're walking out of their house and now they're abducted by aliens. Though it could be. Raising the stakes just means wherever they're at, we have to put a little bit more pressure on them. Though it doesn't have to be instant. We can lead into it, but you have to start setting those things up. So be aware of what is happening in Act 1 and how you can escalate those things, and or more importantly, challenge those things to see how characters react. Because remember, it's all about the character's experience, emotional experience, and their choices that they're making. So that's something to definitely keep an eye on for. What did they do in Act 1, and where does that put them emotionally as a character, and how do I challenge those position changes? The other thing is, remember, whatever you did seed in Act 1 and you're going into Act 2, pay those off. So that's important too. Noted. Need a little drinky drink. If you're just tuning in, I'm taking one or two more questions on writing. If you have questions about your own writing or not, people just jumped off. All right. What we got? Rose says, watching your videos has given me so many ideas I didn't originally have in mind. The steps you take me through have helped think much more carefully. I appreciate that. For watching the videos, because I'm almost at 4,000 watch hours because of everybody's support and love and continual help. But more importantly, the fact that the videos are helping you and giving you ideas, that's the part that really matters to me. And that's why I keep doing this, because like I said, it's all about elevating the community and helping one another. So the fact that I was able to do that with the information, that makes me happy for you. So that's great. I don't think I would be this far through the story if it wasn't for you. Thank you once again. Elle, you're gonna make me cry, and but you are making me feel so good in the side of the hearts and the emotions, and obviously much love to you, and it means a lot. I'm super excited for you to be on your next story already after publishing the other stories. That's gonna be fun. Dabs. We're both dabbing tears over here. I feel like Bobby the Boo from Welcome Back, Carter. Hey, you're gonna make me cry. I hope that reference hits, because I am at an age where that show was new when I saw it. Welcome back. Pizza will make it better, and I have one waiting for me in the side over there. Gonna have to get some lunch going soon. Don't worry, I have a year on you. Oh, you have a year? Oh, so you're okay. All right. So you're 48. All right. Hey, welcome. We're in our 40s. You know what that means? It means we're in our new 20s. Okay. Except I don't remember being 20 with all this cracks and screams and pains when I get up. I don't remember that. Yeah. Hey, who doesn't want some beef stroganoff? Also, I was looking at I don't remember what I was saying. Ribeye, chips, and broccoli for me. People forget that combination. Tasty. You can't go wrong with some broccoli. Very healthy, good foods. And ribeye, first of all, anything that is a rib that has eyes on it, I'm in. Eyes are very healthy. Why do they call it ribeye? There is no eye. It's like Rhode Island. It's neither a road nor an island. I'm just saying. Why do they call it that? Hey, where is this? A road or an island? When I watch TV and stuff like that, and I'm watching it with people, I always make like I'm an idiot. Like something will happen. They'll be like, a character gets shot or killed, and be like, how can they kill the actor like that? Like he was so good. He had a full career ahead of him. And they'd be like, they didn't actually kill him. And then when they tell me when they try to explain to me that they didn't actually kill the actor, I'm not sure they're playing along. I think they believe that I really, because I get emotional. They just killed that guy. I remember the first time I went to visit relatives in Georgia, and they ate fish with the eye. Oh, yeah, Georgians do that. They do like eating their fish eyes. Mm. Yeah, no eyes for me. My family hates when I walk into the middle of a mystery and say, he did it, and then leave it. Well, yeah, that's the other thing about writers. As soon as something comes up, they'll be like, yeah, I haven't seen my father in years. You're like, all right, well, the father will be in the third act, and they're gonna save them on something, you know. And they're like, how did you see that coming? Because Chekhov's gun. If they mention something, it comes back. Otherwise, why waste time? When it comes, especially when it comes to film and television, again, word budget. Like every line costs money, so every line has to do something. Otherwise, like, yeah, you get it, bro. Otherwise, you're paying for it, so you can't have frivolous things, and especially film. There's no room for extra stuff because you have 90 minutes to 2 hours. So it's like if they're like, you know, we haven't seen a monster here in 6 years. Well, then the monster's going to show up. I usually get right to the end of something and then remember I've seen it before. Oddly enough, I feel like I'm getting to that age, you know. That's why I have to take so many notes as my memory is shot. I get it. I get it. I have tons of notes. You got to have notes, you know. I get lost with plot when I'm chewing bubblegum and watching television. That's the edge I'm at, where I'm just like, what's going on here? The good news is you could rewatch shows for the first time. Which, by the way, there are certain things I wish I could watch for the first time again. Shawshank Redemption. I wish I could rewatch that for the first time. Transformers, the Michael Bay movie. Just so I at the end I could be like, man, I wish I could remember not to watch this again, even though it's so great because it's transforming robots from outer space fighting transforming robots from outer space. Like, I don't care that it's stupid. You know what I'm saying? Notes, very helpful. I made quick flashcards so I can move scenes around because I was lost tracking them. Now, how quick are the flashcards, and do they disappear as soon as they appear? Because they are quick flash cards. Just wondering. No, just kidding. But that is a great one. That's old school. That's old. You can't go wrong with old school. Bridesmaids is a film I never get sick of watching, and Ted. Well, as soon as I saw Ted, all I was thinking about is the scene where he's talking about he lists off the girls. So good. One sentence, yeah. Every sentence on the card helps. Very very good. Nurses and toilet humor. Yeah, I mean, you can't go wrong there. Ted is basically Brian as a bear, you know, because it's the same voice as Brian from Family Guy. Hey Brian, how's your book coming along? How's the plot? You working on the plot? What are you talking about? Q-whip. All right, so what is it? 1:30. It's 3:30 over here. We've been doing an hour and a half. Maybe one more question and we'll call it a night. We'll call it a day. We'll call it something, and we'll meet up again this time tomorrow for the writing a book. Writing a book. Writing a book. Cube. I don't really watch Family Guy as much as I like Family Guy. For Laura. Is it? Oh, that's good stuff. Oh, what we got here? Oh my God, the stories we could tell about that body function. Had one nurse panicking large pee. And she said, I don't know where it's coming from. Really? You're a nurse? Where does pee come? No. Is pee supposed to be red? Just asking for a friend. every time I would go to not every time, but I would go to restrooms, and like if I was with my buddies and stuff like that, and I would be in the urinal or whatever, not the outside, in the actual stall, and I'd be like, "Bro, is it supposed to be green?" And I would do that all the time, right? So, and then one time I did it, and I didn't hear him, and normally he laughs, and I walked out, and there was like 3 people just standing there that weren't my friend because he had left, and they're all just looking at me, and I was like, "I know, I got to see a doctor." I have a fab one I haven't used yet, but this dead lady sat up. She might not be dead. I appreciate the topic for this live. Hey, anytime, Strike, and I'm glad you stayed along. I appreciate that very much. So, no, it was hilarious, and we nearly peed. I'm about to pee. Somebody coming up, sitting up like, and he's just like, "Go back to sleep, Sarah." Oh, the rigger. Yeah, I was like, well, also, don't they have like the twitches? You know, like their nervous system still on, or like if they have like the gases are building up, that they'll still do that. It's if they get up and start playing chess. That's when it's an issue. I think. I don't think that's rigor. I put the side rails up just in case. I would lock the door just in case. I'm not dealing with no zombie apocalypse over here. It was a bed assistant. Oh, it was bed assisted. Oh, that means does that mean you have to be the bed or fluff the bed? How does that work? No, I'm just kidding. I should be a nurse. Maybe I should try being a nurse. Let's see if I could do it. Do you need help with what? Oh, you need the bedpan? It's over there. Is that did I do a good job? Do I get the job? Ghosts in hospitals. Look, if you believe in ghosts or not, there's definitely something going on in those hospitals. That's all I'm saying. A newbie HCA lent against the remote control for the. Oh man, that must have got him good. I mean, like, Wah! Bed alarm in case they fall out. Oh yeah. Isn't that yeah? Yeah. You have to do that for some people because you don't want them just randomly walking around. You just hear or as the cops say, whoop whoop, woo. Actually, in London, the siren is different though. I believe. I think so. In the States, it's whoop whoop, woo woo. I have a spooky story. I have spooky stories. Ooh, I'd love to hear the spooky stories, but I'm sure you're going to use them for your book. How about a bonus topic related to the theme of this live? Well, what bonus topic would you like? Whatever you want, man. You ask a question, I'll answer it. No, for the body. You don't want the body falling out the bed. You don't want that body falling off the bed. I've only fallen off my bed twice. But luckily I was on the top of a bunk bed, so it wasn't that bad. The cat has arrived. Come here. Tubester. Oh, what do we got? Anything? Let me look at my notes. What do we got? It says here, I don't know. Some of the other day, I was talking to one of my friends I haven't talked to in a while, and she asked, the first question out of her mouth was, "Did you cut your hair? Because I always see, I never see your long hair in the photos anymore." And I was like, "No, it's just in a bun." All I heard on the phone was, I was like, "Well, all right." Ever slept walk? No, but I did live with someone that slept walk, and that's always fun. I do have night terrors though, and I do occasionally talk in my sleep, and but I sometimes wake up and like it takes me a second because I'm still in like dream world and I see like people in the room, because I have the night because from when I was younger, I was almost kidnapped out of my bed, and I still see that stuff. Fun. It's amazing how a PT, a physical therapist, who hasn't walked in years, suddenly gets up and stands. That is, they're just like, hey, I'm ready to do something. Well, it's that golden hour, when they feel better, that's it. The next day they're done. Yeah, boy. I used to do that all the time when I was younger. I have sleep paralysis too, but haven't done that. Oh, sleep paralysis. Oh, yeah, that's when you wake up and you're just like, it's because you're stuck in that REM sleep. It's just woo. Good work. All right. Well, the cat threw up. Did we cover self-publishing versus traditional publishing mistakes or delusional expectations surrounding it? We didn't really. I have a video on that. I have a really long video on that, but I could give a little insight into that. So the big mistakes with self-publishing is the lack of marketing and the lack of brand building and the lack of a long-term goal. A lot of times self-published authors are focus on one book at a time, or more importantly, they focus on I have a series, right? And maybe that series isn't done and they're just writing one book at a time. So why is that a mistake or add to the delusionment is that books make you money, and that's not necessarily true, because if books made you money, like I said in the beginning of this video, write the book, put it into your closet, and wait for people to knock on your door because you wrote a book. It doesn't work that way. You got to market, you got to network, you got to build awareness. So those are big mistakes for self-publishing. They forget all about the marketing. They forget about having a long-term plan. Because what is this book for? How does this book help you? And the first, I know, let's answer that. So one of the big tools when it comes to a book is, wait, I could use this book as I could do pre-marketing, not for the book, but as a chance to get interviews. Because interviews will always outweigh reviews. Why? Because reviews are opinions from people. And that's why sometimes we get a review that says, I gave this 1 star. I don't read romance books, but someone said I should read this, and it was a romance, and I don't like romance, so I gave it 1 star. It was terrible. There was no action. There was no demons or aliens. So reviews aren't really as powerful as interviews, because interviews allow the audience to hear and listen to you, and you might have different opposing views. You might have ideas. But the one thing that they teach you in PR, when you hire a PR person or publicist, like when I was in the music industry, I worked with PR people. They teach you not to talk about your product. The host can. Like if I'm interviewing you, I go, oh, this is your book came out. This is a really good book. Game of Thrones, available now, right? But if you watch interviews even on TV, when people like film stars and stuff come, the hosts will ask them questions about like their time on set, or like a story about their family or whatever, right? Because it's through the interview that we build an emotional connection through empathy. Oh, they have kids. Oh, they struggle too. Oh, they did it, right? Because it's the rise and fall, their adventure. So self-publishing authors rarely think about that. They think of the book, right? So, but you could use the book as a chance to get interviews for long-term investment. So, all right, I have something coming out, so press is more likely to interview me because I have movement, as they would call it. I have movement, and movement is that you're doing things, right? So you use that as a chance to sort of parlay these interviews, and then you use those interviews to parlay more interviews. But more importantly, the more press you get, the more you can say, so and so from blank 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 podcast said this about my book, right? And now you get quote stamps, right? But those podcasts for a quote unquote nobody will lead to news work. So you can news press. So you could go to your local news, right? Your newspapers and your local town newspapers, and you could get press that way. You'd be like, oh, I was just interviewed there, right? So you can use press to parlay more press and grow and grow and grow and get to the point. But if you're also networking and building relationships with your local radio people, so I used to get asked to be a co-host on WBLI and WRCN all the time on Long Island. And the reason is because my friends, I made friends with people who ended up making friends with them, who ended up working there, and some people hosted, and whatever the case may be. So I also started doing stuff on college radio. People would have me come in and talk on college radio, right? So I just started building my presence out there. So that's what I'm talking about. It's like you need to parlay. Like, what's the long game? How do I create movement? I have a book coming out. How do I create press? How do I create opportunities to help other authors? How do I create? Because again, and please don't take this the wrong way, but if you've never published a book and you don't have a fan base, you're quote unquote nobodies, right? Because nobody knows you. So if you're like, oh, I'm going to do a book release party, well, who's going to come? Well, my friends and family. All right. Well, if that's the case, since they technically aren't considered audience, do the book signing, do the book launch. You could do it live, have all your friends and family there, but then contact the press, contact local news. Local author writing a first book sells because if you could get all your friends and family there, you're technically still selling out the book signing, or you're selling out the book launch, whatever. And now they come, they do a story on you. So you have to think bigger than the book, right? So that's one of the mistakes. And then what did I say? Oh, networking, and you got to build your relationships and stuff like that. Don't focus on the book as self-publishing mistakes. Traditional publishing, when it comes to traditional publishing, is it's that old. I think I mentioned it in the beginning. If A happens, B will happen, right? So if I get published, if a traditional publisher signs me on, I will be able to do this full time, or they will give me an advance, and that'll let me write the book. That's not necessarily true. The other thing is I need a book to be published. But in reality, if you're doing nonfiction, you can write a treatment or an idea or a pitch, and you can sell a book on a pitch. The other thing is I need a book even if I'm doing fiction. And that's not necessarily true. I know authors who got book deals, because of their brand value. I know someone who got a $300,000 advance to write a book. They didn't want to write, nor did they have an interest in writing. And so they asked if they could hire a ghostwriter to write it. And they did. And they basically dictated it into a recording. And then someone else wrote it. And they got the money anyway. And they make a couple dollars here and there still from it. But they're not an author. But they parlayed their brand to lead to a publisher saying, we want you to write a book. The other thing is I have friends that have relationships with other people that led to a meeting, and they got to pitch their book idea, and they said it's all about these things, and it was a fantasy book. It wasn't nonfiction. They didn't write it. So know how to pitch your book. Traditional publishing isn't always about, I need an agent, I need this, I need that, right? Like, you can create avenues to things through networking. You create avenues through building your brand. You can create avenues by becoming a presence. So that's another traditional mistake, traditional publishing mistake. The delusioned expectations surrounding it is, for self-publishers, it's, I have a book. My book is amazing, awesome, unique. Of course it is. You're a human being that did something that is really, really hard to do. You literally wrote a book. It's hard to start, let alone taking an idea and creating these lives. So right off the bat, it's awesome that you did that. It's amazing that you were able to complete it. And it's unique because it's through your voice. But those things do not sell a book. So if I do A, B will happen. If I write a book, the book will sell because I wrote the book and the book is awesome, right? So that's a delusion expectation. If I write a book, the book will sell, right? Forgetting about the other things. When it comes to the traditional, it's basically what I said is, musicians used to say it all the time, and so did actors. This is the one thing I can't stand about actors. I know this is a little negative, but please forgive the negative. I would be on set, right? And there would be actors that are literally just background actors. And I don't mean like they are literally just background actors. I mean, they're background actors, but they have the just literally background actor mentality, where they're like, I'm gonna really, all they have to do is walk across the set. That's it, right? There's a scene happening, and you just see like the person working. And they're like, oh, they do like this weird walk, like, I'm going to get noticed. And they believe and outwardly say, I'm going to get noticed. I go, no one is looking at you past Brad Pitt. That's just not how it works. Or the one big thing that I advocate towards is, like, a lot of women will get naked as background actresses because the money is so good. It is so good. And they depending on how much they show, the money is even more, right? And they're like, oh, I'm going to get noticed though, because people will be looking at me because I'm nude. And you're like, but who remembers the girl Leonardo DiCaprio snorted cocaine off of her naked behind in Wolf of Wall Street? We remember Leonardo DiCaprio doing that crazy moment, but we don't remember the actress who was there. But they believe that, oh, doing this will, so authors do the same thing. Authors, if I could give my book to Stephen King, or if the right person sees my book, it'll just blow up, because I got traditionally published, and that means I have weight, I have value. And now if I could just use that value, to say, oh, I'm on set, I'm working with other actors, I worked with Brad Pitt. No, you didn't work with, he was in the but you didn't work like I worked with Martin Scorsese because he directed me, but you can't see me if you blink. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I wouldn't use that as a credit. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, I was in Vinyl, sure, a couple times, but if you go like this, you don't see me. I was in Gotham many times, but if you do this, you won't see me, right? So, and I was on SNL a bunch of times, but again, if you blink, you'll miss me. But that's the delusion of traditional publishing, because it's associated with professionalism or a higher level, and that creates the if A happens, B will happen. So I'm here, so I'm gonna get something out of it. I hope that helped. Oh, hey, my screen just did something crazy. All right, there we go. You know what that means? It means we're gonna have to cut off soon. But I just want to finish. Let me see. We do that with local radio stations. Oh yeah, helping each other with the local. Yeah, got to do that with the local radio station. Be seen, talk everywhere on everything. Write small article for local papers. That's awesome. Yeah, do all that stuff. Yeah, if you're doing it now, great. That's definitely great. But remember, don't talk about the book. Talk about the process of writing the book, or the experience of writing a book. Articles, all good stuff. My cousin was on X-Files many times, but couldn't tell. Yeah, again, sometimes it's still acting. Sometimes you get one line, whatever. But you can't. Your career doesn't blow up because of that. The career blows up because of the stuff behind the scenes. Brad Pitt is a great example, because he didn't become Brad Pitt overnight. He became Brad Pitt because people advocated for him, and then he fought to make sure he didn't turn into the pretty boy. He turned into the river runs through it, and the Legends of the Fall, and like he purposefully guided his career to do a certain thing. How do some of the authors get quotes from big name authors in your experience? The I know of is typically via publishers. Well, like I have friends who are published authors, right? So and I don't mean like I was published. I'm talking about like name people, right? So I could ask them, right? Because I have a friendship, which is networking. So how do some of the authors get these quotes? Most likely they have a connection to somebody. They either have a networking relationship with them directly. They have a third party direction, meaning an agent knows an agent, or a friend knows a friend, or whatever the case may be. So it's really all about that. However, I mean, I know your history a little bit, but I won't mention it. But you could use your avenues of networking to obviously get to some of the people that you would help you. But at the same time, I wouldn't. It's not important. It's not important. If I had R.R. Martin quote, it says, R.R. Martin says this book is great. That's not going to help me sell anything, because again, people have to see the book. They have to see the cover. They have to see the quote. They have to have an interest. Like, what is making them look at it? And I can't just post the cover and be like, look, R.R. Martin said my book is great, because that's telling, right? And that's also pushing, right? You're not supposed to tell people to buy your book. You're supposed to talk about your adventure. Now, if I had lunch with R.R. Martin, that's different. If I posted even with a photo and be like, one of my, I'm arbitrarily making this up, but if I was like, one of my dreams of meeting an author that inspired me which he didn't. I'm making this up. An author who inspired me, I actually got to have lunch with today, and I'm so grateful that R.R. Martin gave me his time. We talked about writing, but also I found out that he likes blank, 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 and blank, 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 and we had a lot in common. And I was really grateful that this happened. That photo and that post would get a ton of action, and not once do I say buy my book, and not once do I say he said my writing was great. It was just like that is more powerful than a quote of like, hey, sometimes authors will beta read for you. That is true. A lot of my beta readers, though, believe it or not, are Indian. They're like, they write screenplays or they work on, like, one of my closest friends. He works on Power or whatever it's called, and he also worked on that other show. It's a terrible show. It's about like people want to manifest. Anyway, he does a lot of my alpha reading for me, and he's one of the kids I mentored. Certain author Facebook groups will let you advertise. I look at, I mean, that's great if they do that. Like, awesome. But again, advertisement is usually geared towards buy my thing, right? Buy my stuff. But if you build relationships in those Facebook groups, like authentic relationships, that's going to be a little bit more. Or if you're adding substance to the posts, if you're adding knowledge or expertise or your emotional journey to those posts, and you create dialogue, that'll be more powerful than hey, buy my book. It always will be. I knew someone who tried to sell legit New York Times bestseller. See? You get it. That's funny. Kevin Costner had friend ask, read this. He didn't. Then friend stayed with Costner. Oh, yes, I know that story. Dances with Wolves. Again, though, Kevin Costner had a friend ask another friend if he'd read this. But he was friends with him. He knew him, and the friend stayed with him. So there was a relationship there. And it was just mere circumstances that led to that relationship. However, Kevin Costner took it over. He had to rework it, rewrite it. He directed it, and he acted in it. He put up some of his own money. So it became a passion project, and obviously he won awards. But again, that's like saying, well, Toni Braxton was singing at a gas station, pumping her gas, and on the other side was a producer, and they heard her, and they were like, "Holy, you sing great!" And then they had a few meetings, and then it turned out she sings gospel with her sisters in the church, and she doesn't want the deal unless her sisters could come with her, or actual sisters. And her sisters were like, "What are you doing? Just take the deal, go do Toni Braxton." And then they took her on, and then it was a lot of development before she became Toni Braxton. So it wasn't like, you sing great, you're signed, here's a big contract. It was back and forth. She had to work through her morals. She had to get the support from her family. Turned into a deal where it was developmental, which means she had to write for people. She had to sing on people's stuff. And then eventually they started working on her own. Same thing with Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga started as a writer for people. She started as a lyricist for people and wrote songs. In fact, the artist that sings, "I stepped outside and took a deep breath and got real high, and I said, what's going on?" Whatever, that artist wrote pretty much the entire album for Pink that has "I'm coming up. Let's get this party started," right? Let's get this party started. I'm coming up. That whole album was basically written by her. So, those are all relationship based. But going back to Kevin Costner and Toni Braxton, they're like 1 in a million chances. But it still takes a process. You can't work on those. Why does it keep doing that? It keeps doing that. Anyway, what time is it? Oh, that's why. It's almost 4:00. Boom, boop, boop, boop. All right, everybody, let's do it. Let's do all the schning. If you haven't done so already and you've been watching this channel for some time, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the bell icon so you don't miss out. And as always, you gotta keep share the video if you can, if you're willing, if possible. It means a lot to me. I will say, for everyone out there who like L and everyone else who's like just really pushing and supporting and doing everything, the membership and everything. I'm blown away. I feel loved, and it really does touch my heart. I do not take it for granted. So I really, even these weekends, like, yeah, all right, we have 7 people watching right now, but those 7 people, you have no idea what that means to me, that I get to work with you every weekend, the same 7 people, like, it just means so much. And obviously you could check out makearightleft.here.com if you'd like to get involved in certain things. Beyond that, what do we got here? Yep, that's correct. That whole story of Pink is funny and a huge example of first album positioning. And she also started. She had a group, and they were like, "We want to sign you," and her band was like, "Yeah, go do it." And she's like, "No, we got to be a group." And they were like, "No." So she had the same example as Tony Braxton, but she also changed it. She changed her hair. She started as she wasn't strictly like rock. She was more like soul pop / hip hop or something like that. So she changed a lot too over the course of certain time. It's amazing how the industry works when it comes to that stuff. But yeah. What else we got? Oh, thank you. Awesome. Good luck, Flowers. Yeah, Flowers. Good luck on the book getting finished, especially on the book you're currently working on, and of course, obviously, the compilation. I can't wait till that's out. I'm really excited about that. They tried to make her appear like a black. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Had an awesome day. Oh, thank you so much, bro. I appreciate it. See you tomorrow, everybody. I gotta get out of here. I gotta start making lunch for myself. But with that, I'm Thomas J. Bellezza. This is The Right Mindset, and as always, keep developing the right mindset. I'll see you next time. Bye.